fire them up. That's what we do at the Andrew Gosser Show. We fire them up right here on 1039 WYAB. We are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal that is 1039 WYAB, help us grow the station. Help us grow the channel. Like, share, subscribe. Tell some people about the show. We greatly appreciate it. If you want to be part of the program today, the number is 601 879 0002. Text line is open at 601 879 5060. Thank God it's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Yeah, it's a dreary Friday, but we're getting through it. Look, no matter what the day is, the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? You all are the saints. I planted it, Apollos watered it, but it was God that made the increase. And we believe that. And we've got great stuff happening next week. We're going to have, I think, a couple guests on. We're going to have Brother Rick back in the studio for 2 hours, my friend. And we don't agree on everything, but we don't sit there, yell, cuss, and swear at each other. We sit there and talk through it. Where we agree, we agree. And where we disagree. I'm hopefully going to try to get 2 more people in the studio. We'll see how that works out. And I was going to start this show off with our esteemed senior senator, Mr. Roger Wicker, but Tulsi Gabbard put out a video on her last day as DNI, and it affects every single, not just me personally, not just every single Mississippian, not even every single American, but everybody in the world. And it's a 5-minute video. I've got it at 1.25 speed. It sounds good, but we're just going to go through this and listen to this because you're not going to hear this on the mainstream media. You're not going to hear this at the water cooler. Your liberal friends are going to be upset because they're not going to listen to it. And you will be in the 2 to 3% of people out there who are more informed than others because you listen to 1039 WYB and all the awesome shows that we have. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
Before the COVID pandemic, Dr. Fauci, as head of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, provided millions in U.S. taxpayer dollars to fund dangerous gain-of-function research on bat coronaviruses at the Wuhan Institute of Virology, work which is now widely viewed as the source of the unintentional lab leak that sparked the pandemic.
You lost your First Amendment rights to go speak in the town square if you questioned this back in 2019. I remember questioning it. I called it the Chinese virus. And you know, my local newspaper ran front page story on me for 2 or 3 days, me calling it Chinese virus, saying I didn't have proof, that I was being manipulated. I was misinformation. I was fake news. Northwest Herald, where are you now, losers? And this is where I truly get upset with people on the right. We should be going up to these journalists and saying WTF, and confronting them with our cell phones and asking them, hey, how come you reported this? It's an open lie. You never fixed it. They're like the ugly Hollywood. They sit there and they run their propaganda. I could do the whole first hour show on what ABC News reported at the top of this hour and be great content, but I digress.
Now, in support of President Trump's maximum transparency mandate, today, on my final day as Director of National Intelligence, I'm releasing never-before-seen communications and documents that expose exactly how Fauci worked with politicized career leadership in the intelligence community to suppress the truth about his actions, the virus's lab leak origins, and his role in directing U.S. funding for this dangerous research that caused immeasurable harm and countless lost lives.
And Tulsi Gabbard, I saw you pat the white binder there. It looks very thick. I just hope you didn't go full Pam Bondi on that and give us a bunch of hot garbage that we already knew about. We all know that the president wants to do stuff, but we also know that he's surrounded by a bunch of people who do not support him, like Senator Roger Wicker. But we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Now, these documents expose Fauci's direct role in influencing and manipulating IC assessments on COVID-19 and how Fauci lied to Congress in 2024 when, under oath, he denied knowledge of or participation in discussions with intelligence officials about viral research. We also received testimony from multiple intelligence community whistleblowers who reported retaliation for challenging the intelligence community's manipulation of intelligence on the virus's origins. Once
And that should scare the heck out of every single one of us. When you start having retaliation for pointing out flaws, when you're trying to report fraud and abuse of power, and you know what, that person gets attacked. It's hard being a whistleblower. It's why we have whistleblower protections. There's certain ways you got to do it, and it's even triply difficult when you're in an intelligence agency or a law enforcement agency, whether that be local law enforcement, national law enforcement, military intelligence, civilian intelligence. We got to go ahead and we got to start taking our country back from all these bureaucrats.
Once again, revealing a clear pattern of suppressing dissent, silencing critics, and burying the truth.
Yep. Kicking everybody who disagreed with him off of then Twitter, locking down your Facebook account like mine is right now, sitting there taking away our ability to communicate freely. It's absolutely terrible what they did. And you know what? We're all complicit of it. Every single one of us. I mean, I haven't complained to Senator Wicker in at least a month. Well, maybe 2 weeks. I complained about earlier this month, Save America Act. But I digress.
Dr. Fauci's close relationships with the intelligence community enabled him to assume three key roles that shield him from scrutiny. First, Dr. Fauci funded dangerous gain-of-function coronavirus research linked to Big Pharma and their pursuit of universal vaccines.
And now everybody is wondering, why don't people trust the vaccine industry? Why don't they trust big pharmaceutical? Because it's not about making us healthy. It's about keeping us sick. It's not about having a quality of life improvement. It's about making the dollar. And you know what? Let's be truthful. There are good vaccines out there. Pharmaceutical companies did a lot of great work back in the 50s and 60s when they came out with the schedule was 3 vaccines, I think, growing up. And now it's over 80. Mary Jo Perry, she's got a great handout that shows this. Mississippi Parents for Vaccination Rights. Man, this just gets me fired up.
Worth trillions of dollars. Second, Dr. Fauci was the behind-the-scenes advisor who, alongside his hand-picked so-called experts, pushed the intelligence community to endorse a natural animal origin to hide his dangerous gain-of-function research that he funded using taxpayer dollars, all of this in a deliberate attempt to cover up the truth and shift the blame and attention away from Fauci's own actions.
And that's why everybody who's in charge at the NIH who wasn't appointed by Trump should be summarily fired. NIH has given out grants that study the cocaine use in the Minnesota field mouse. No, really, look it up. But we can't get funding research to study obesity in the African American community in Mississippi. That's real stuff there, ladies and gentlemen. Freedom of speech, but watch what you say.
Third, Dr. Fauci became the nation's pandemic pundit, and he publicly pushed lies, disinformation, and censorship using every platform available.
We talked about that. If there was and just not social media platforms, but the mainstream media, podcasts, talk shows, he was everywhere. You had even Stephen Colbert walking around with ladies with condom suits on, sitting there. They weren't really condom suits. They were syringes, telling us to go get the shot. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know anybody who regretted ever getting the COVID shot? I know quite a few, but I don't know one person who did not take the shot who regretted not getting it. Not one.
Now, according to hundreds of reviewed emails, which are included in this release, The intelligence community almost always incorporated Fauci's recommendations. He promoted a fraudulent paper whose publication he helped prompt as legitimate information for intelligence community consideration. Senior analysts praised Dr. Fauci not as a policymaker, but as what they called an unbiased guide to the real coronavirus experts.
And see, this is one hand scratching the other person's back and the handshake with the other one. They're sitting there creating this narrative. And look, we're Americans. We're a high trust society. We're a Christian society, or we were, where trust was important. You know, Clay Edwards trusts me to be here on Mondays and Tuesdays in the 8 o'clock hour. It doesn't always happen, but he trusts me. He knows that I'm going to be there. I'm sure you all have things in your life that you're trusted about. We were grown up to trust these organizations. We were grown up to trust things like the FBI, like our politicians. We were. And ever since the early 90s, things just have gone south. And maybe that's because that's my reference timeline. Maybe it was before then. But I'm telling you this. Right now, trust in the government is at an absolute debacle. It's at an all-time low.
While deliberately ignoring experts who might dissent from Fauci's narratives. Now, Fauci didn't stop there. He blatantly lied to Congress under oath during his 2024 testimony to the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Pandemic, denying that he ever spoke to any intelligence agency about COVID. Now,
we sent Steve Bannon to jail for 6 months. Why isn't Fauci in jail? This is Joseph Mengele type level stuff here. And if you don't know who Joseph Mengele is, then you need to educate yourself. Pick up a history book. Joseph Mengele. In my opinion, Dr. Fauci is the modern day Joseph Mengele. And there's lots of people who know about it and don't want to talk about it.
Correspondence I'm releasing today directly contradicts his sworn testimony. Now, we received statements from multiple whistleblowers revealing that the intelligence analysts who dared to challenge Dr. Fauci's COVID origin conclusions faced threats of retaliation, marginalization, and many suffered career setbacks. For example,
suffered career setbacks? How about career enders? We all know what it's like to put our necks out on the line. Some of us even know what it's like to get our heads chopped off. There are so many politicians out there who decided to just go with the flow, go with the program, instead of sticking their neck out. I can hear Brother Rick saying, yeah, like Thomas Massey. Yep. That was his hill to die on. And he did. And I'm not against him for doing that. I question his tactics in the long game, but that's what he thought he needed to do, and he did it. And there are a lot of people who don't have the same income streams that Congressman Massey has, who did it because they love their country. They would have thought they were part of something bigger than just themselves. They laid it all out there, and they got smushed. They got crushed. The deep state ate them up.
Example, a contractor was terminated just days after coming forward to ODNI as a whistleblower. Another example, those who advocated for the lab leak hypothesis or expressed dissenting views were reminded by their managers that leadership would determine which analysts would be promoted and which would not.
That is so freaking evil. It's true. Your managers do decide who's going to go up for major, who's going to go up for lieutenant colonel, who's going to go up for colonel, general. I won't go through the Navy, but ensign, lieutenant commander, captain, admiral. I think that's right. It's been a while.
The message was clear: go along or be punished. Now, senior leaders also sought to undermine whistleblowers by removing anonymity, which is required in the whistleblower process, as they made their complaints, and also insisting that their managers or attorneys be present during ODNI meetings where these whistleblowers were coming forward with their testimony, obviously creating an atmosphere of intimidation. The COVID
and that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. The atmosphere of intimidation, whether that be intimidation at the workplace, intimidation in the public square, intimidation in the workplace. It doesn't matter. It's what they do. They mock you. They ridicule you. They scorn you. They go after you.
COVID pandemic caused tremendous hardship and pain for millions of our fellow Americans.
Mrs. Gabbard, this is the first time that I respectfully disagree with you. It wasn't just discomfort for millions of Americans. It was discomfort for every single American. Every single American suffered under this man's insane ideas. And he needs to be punished.
And countless people around the world. Now, after years of lies and censorship and cover-ups, the American people deserve transparency, truth, and accountability.
And it's been dragged out so long that the mainstream media is just going to give this a half day of coverage. We'll be on to the next story and nothing will ever happen. Meanwhile, it's the dry run for the next big virus outbreak, which they're already talking about, if you listen carefully.
The tactics that were used to hide the truth are straight from the deep state playbook. Politicized self-serving leaders like Dr. Fauci covered up their own wrongdoing and abuses of power, manipulated intelligence, lied to Congress, and undermined a duly elected president by restricting his access to the vital facts he needed to keep the country safe.
And that's the truth. And not only did they keep the truth from the sitting president of the United States, they then took away his microphone in the public square. Think about it. The mainstream media decided not to cover President Trump. They decided what President Trump was saying was either real or not. It's evil. And you know, I don't agree with everything that President Trump says. I come out and say it. I don't agree with everything Tulsi Gabbard says. But when you have these people who have incredible control, dare I say the corporation, it's not good.
It's time you know the truth.
And that was her full 5-minute statement. I normally don't do the whole clip. I want people to go out and search it. But I also know that the mainstream media is not going to cover it. And that's what we do here at WYAB. That's what we do. We put it out there. And now you've heard the story. Now go fact check her. I want you to trust her, but I want you to go fact check her. And if you do it, then we'll talk about the next steps after that. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. Be right back.
WYAB. You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Visit Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson or at DaviniEquipment.com.
Your roof is constantly exposed to the elements, battling dirt, algae, and stains. But with Watkins Construction and Roofing Roof Wash Service, you can keep it looking like new. A proprietary rooficide treatment is EPA approved, safe, and guaranteed to prevent algae from coming back for at least 2 years. No harsh chemicals, no damage, no black streaks. Just a clean, beautiful roof that lasts. Call Watkins Construction and Roofing at 601-966-8233 or visit nomoreroofstains.com today.
You love your land, and you have plans for it. During Kubota Orange Days, you'll love the great deals on our versatile, reliable lineup, helping you turn dream projects into reality. Visit your Kubota dealer today for the best deals of the year. Now through June 30th, 0% financing available or save up to $5,500 off select compact tractors. Sale ends soon. Stop by your local dealer or go to gokubota.com.
Visit Davini Equipment in Madison and Jackson or at DaviniEquipment.com.
Metal Builder Supply in Pearl provides quality commercial and residential metal roofing, pre-engineered steel buildings, mini storage facilities, pole barns, and steel components with old-time service and competitive prices. Through our commitment, experience, and expertise, Metal Builder Supply has established a business relationship with our customers that will last a lifetime. When you need metal roofing, reflective insulation, trim, or metal decking, contact Metal Builder Supply online at metalbuildersupplypearl.com.
Managing payroll, benefits, workers' comp, and HR tasks can take valuable time away from running your business. That's where People Lease comes in. From payroll processing and tax filing to employee benefits and retirement plan administration, People Lease helps simplify your back office operations while improving employee satisfaction. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Schedule your consultation today at peoplelease.com. That's peoplelease.com.
Looking for farm fresh produce, high quality local beef, dairy, and desserts? Look no further than the Farm Store in Flora. We've got the sweetest, juiciest fruits and vibrant vegetables from Two Dog Farms, plus premium beef, all from right here in the community. Whether you're cooking up a feast or just grabbing a healthy snack, the Farm Store has got you covered. Freshness you can taste, prices you'll love. Find us on Facebook at The Farm Store by Two Dog Farm.
When it comes to protecting what matters most, experience counts. And the Rusty Healy Agency has been serving Madison and the rest of the Jackson Metro for over 35 years. Local agent Landon Thompson is keeping that trusted tradition going strong. As a local independent agent, he's not locked into one provider. The Rusty Healy Agency can shop the top insurance companies to find the best fit for you. And everyone knows that the Rusty Healy Agency and Landon Thompson offer top quality local customer service. Contact Landon today at 601-856-3681.
Oh, yeah. The dulcet tones of the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB.
Oh, yeah.
Look, June's coming to an end already. The year is almost half over. And unfortunately, that means June's Kubota Orange Days at Devaney Rental and Equipment is almost over. And if you're looking, if you're still on the fence thinking about getting a new tractor, a new cutter, a new lawnmower, a new side-by-side,
if you're looking,
time is flying by. If you want to take advantage of
a new tractor,
Kubota Orange Days,
a new lawnmower,
now's the time to do it.
Side-by-side,
excavator, skid steers.
time is
I love
flying by.
Devaney.
If you want to take
They've been a great
advantage of
sponsor to the
Kubota Orange
WYAB.
Days,
It's where I
now's the time
personally
to do
go.
it.
It's why I do
Excavator,
these ad
skid
reads.
steers.
It's really easy
I
to
love
do
Devaney.
when you
been a
trust
great
the company,
sponsor
when
to
you know the people
WYAB.
behind the desk,
It's where
behind
I
the
personally go.
behind
It's
the
why I do these ad
bar
reads.
where you're
It's
going
really
up to
easy
get
to
your
do
oil and
when you
supplies.
trust the company.
Go
when
ahead
you
and do
know the
oil
people
changes.
behind the desk,
Absolutely great.
behind the
Their website is
bar where you're going up to get
DevaneyEquipment.com,
your oil and supplies to
DevaneyEquipment.com.
go ahead and do
Two
oil
places to
changes.
go. Highway
It's
51
absolutely
near
great.
Gluckstadt, and
Their
my
website
personal
is DevaneyEquipment.com,
Devaney outlet of choice
DevaneyEquipment.com.
is Spring Ridge
Two
Road,
places
south
to
of
go.
I-20.
Highway 51 near Gluckstadt.
Can't recommend them enough,
and my
and thank you so much for sponsoring the
Devaney
program.
outlet of
You know, there
choice
are good
is
news
Spring
good
Ridge
news
Road,
coming
south
out
of
today.
I-20.
The U.S. men's national
Can't
team will
recommend
play
them
their
enough,
second
and
game
thank you so much for
against
sponsoring the
Australia.
program.
It'll be
You
chippy.
know, there are good
I'm
good
not sure
news
we'll see
coming
the
out
same
today.
silky smooth
The US
football that
men's
we saw in the
national team will
first
play
game
their
with the U.S.
second
men's
game
national team,
against Australia,
but it's going to
It'll
be there.
chippy. I'm not sure
It's
we'll
gonna
see
be
the same
there.
silky smooth football that we
It's
saw
gonna
in the
be
first
fun.
game with the U.S. men's national team.
And
but
let
it's
me
gonna
nerd
be
out
there.
just for a minute here. The
It's
very
gonna be
last
there.
episode of Star
It's gonna
Trek,
be
The
fun.
Just Next Generation,
And
the episode was
let me
called
nerd
"And
out
All
just for a
Good
minute
Things."
here. The very last episode,
And what it really
of
was
Star
is
Trek,
all
The
good things
Just
must
Next
come to an end.
Generation, the
And
episode
sadly,
was called "And All Good
You can't
Things."
go out and look at Europeans reacting to
And what it really
food
was
and
is
American
all good
culture
things must
anymore
come to
without
an
looking
end.
at somebody else's
And
reaction
sadly,
to that reaction.
You can't go out and look
And
at
it kind of kills
Europeans
the
reacting
vibe.
to
I had a
food
bunch of
and
stuff
American culture anymore
that I wanted
without
to
looking at
continue with.
somebody else's
I
reaction
got
to
a lot
that
of comments
reaction.
on how
And it
people
kinda kills the
enjoyed hearing
vibe.
how great
I had a
America
bunch of
was.
stuff that I wanted to continue
You
with.
hear about
There's-
enough of the
I got a lot of
negativity,
comments on
but you can't
how
go out and find that
people
anymore.
enjoyed hearing how great America was.
It's really buried. And also, there's a
We
lot
hear
of
about enough of the
imitators, and
negativity,
you can tell the people who
but
were
you can't go out and
genuinely
find that anymore.
experiencing
It's really
America and
buried.
had real
And
honest
also, there's a lot of
reactions
imitators, and you can
compared
tell
to
the
like
people
these
who are
YouTubers and
genuinely
Instagrammers and TikTokers with millions of
experiencing America
followers,
and had
hundreds of
real
thousands of
honest
followers.
reactions
When you got grandma
compared to
coming
like
over to the
these
United States with
YouTubers and
63
Instagrammers and
followers on
TikTokers
TikTok,
with millions of followers, hundreds of
and,
thousands of
and she's
followers.
lost her head over
When you
Waffle
got
House. I mean, that
grandma
is
coming over to the
legitimate
United States with 63
entertainment right
followers on
there. Good
TikTok,
entertainment, not like the crap coming out of
and
Hollywood.
she's lost her head over Waffle House. I mean, that is legitimate
And I guess it's a good
entertainment
segue
right
into
there.
into
Good entertainment,
Disclosure
not
Day,
like the crap coming out of Hollywood.
the ultimate disclosure flop.
And I guess it's a good segue
Steven
into
Spielberg
Disclosure
and,
Day.
and the boomers just need to
The
let the
ultimate
country go
disclosure flop.
and let the generation try to pick up their mess.
Steven
They're
Spielberg
going to say they left it
and the
in a great
boomers just need
place.
to let the country
Honestly,
go.
no, you didn't.
And
You were
let the
selfish.
generation try to pick up their mess.
And I'm not talking about all
They're gonna
boomers.
say
I'm
they
talking
left
about
it in a great
Hollywood
place.
and the political
Honestly,
elites.
no, you didn't. You were selfish.
But you were selfish.
And I'm not talking about all boomers.
You tried to
I'm talking
push an
about
agenda.
Hollywood in the political
And Disclosure
elites.
Day, don't get me wrong.
But you
They'll
were
say it was
selfish.
about actual
You tried to
UAP
push an
disclosure.
agenda.
But if you
And
actually
Disclosure
watch the
Day,
movie,
don't get me wrong.
it's all
They'll say it was
anti-Christian.
about actual UAP disclosure.
It really is.
But if you actually watch the movie,
And people aren't
it's
having
all
it. It's going
anti-Christian.
to be another big flop for Hollywood.
It really is.
The movies this year coming out of Hollywood are absolute
and
trash,
People aren't having it.
hot
It's gonna
garbage.
be
The only
a-
things
another
that
big
might
flop
make
for
money are the
Hollywood.
cartoons
The movies
and
this year
one
coming out
movie
of
about
Hollywood
deep
are
space.
absolute trash, hot garbage.
I don't even remember the
only
name of
things
it because I didn't
that
go to
might
see
make
it.
money are the
I was actually thinking about
cartoons
going to see Disclosure
and
Days,
one
and I'm
movie
like,
about
well,
deep
let me
space.
just go wait for Geeks and Gamers to see what they
I don't
say.
even remember the name of it
Let's
'cause
wait
I
to
didn't go
hear
to
what
see it.
Critical
I was
Drinker
actually thinking
says,
about going to see Disclosure
Nerdrotic
Days,
says,
and I'm like, well, let me just go
WDW
wait
Pro
for Geeks and
says.
Gamers to see what they say. Let's wait to hear what
Disclosure
Critical
Days not even
Drinker
going to make
says.
break even.
Nerdrotic says. WDW Pro
Star Wars
says.
not even breaking even. They have taken all of these treasures that they
Disclosure
built
Days
up
not
in
even
the
gonna make
80s and
break
90s
even.
and absolutely sacrificed them at the
Star Wars
unholy
not even
altar of
breaking
political
even. They
correctness
have
and
taken all
wokeism.
of these treasures that they built up in the 80s and 90s and absolutely sacrificed them at the
And
unholy altar of
that's
political
why
correctness
TV's
and wokeism.
dying. That's why Hollywood is dying. And that's why radio is
TV's
growing.
dying.
And that's
That's
why
why
individual
Hollywood is
podcasts are growing.
dying.
Independent media,
And that's
independent
why
journalism is
radio is
growing.
growing.
Mainstream
And
legacy
that's why
media dying.
individual podcasts are growing. Independent media,
No
independent
one wants to
journalism
believe their
is
crap
growing.
anymore.
Mainstream legacy media dying.
No one does. I don't. You don't. And
No one
even
wants to
people
believe their
on the
crap
political
anymore.
left who like what they're saying
No
realize
one
that they've
does.
got a
I
problem.
don't. You don't. And even
I'm not sure how it
people
gets
on the
fixed. I'm not
political
sure how
left
that
who
all
like
goes
what they're
down.
saying
And the
realize that
great
they've
thing
got a
is we don't
problem.
even need an example or to figure
I'm
that
not sure
problem
how it
out
gets
today.
fixed. I'm not sure how that all goes down.
But I'm
And the
telling
great
you
thing
this: if
we don't
you've
even
got
need
any
an
time
example
today
or
to watch
to
the
figure
U.S.
that problem
men's
out
national
today.
team play, you really should.
But I'm telling you
I
this:
think the
if
game
you've
kicks off
got
at 2
any
o'clock.
time today to watch the U.S. men's national team play,
And
you
I know
really
I said I
should.
was going to be at an undisclosed
I think the
location
game
in
kicks off at 2
Jackson watching the
o'clock.
game. However, we've had a change of
And I know I
plans.
said I was going to be
You
at an
know, we've
undisclosed
got
location in Jackson watching the
3
game.
humans with 4
However,
vehicles,
we've
and 2 of
had a
them go
change
down.
of
2
plans.
vehicles go down
You
at
know,
the same
we've
time.
got
So
3
I get to
humans
spend the
with 4
day with the
vehicles,
Sweet Bee
and 2 of
after
them go
the
down.
show
2
today, which
vehicles
is
go
always good.
down
And we're
at
going
the
to talk
same
about her in
time.
the second hour. Don't worry about that.
So
Sweet Bee's got it
I
going
get to
on.
spend the day
Busy
with the
gal.
Sweet Bee after the show
So
today, which is always
if you
good.
can
And we're
make
going to
it,
talk about
that's
her in the
great.
second
If you
hour. Don't
can't,
worry
that's
about
all
that.
right
Sweet
too.
Bee's got it going on.
Always put the
Busy
family over
gal.
the other stuff, but
So
it's a chance to be
if you can make
patriotic
it,
and
that's
feel
great.
good
If you can't, that's all right too.
and,
Always put the family over
kind
the
of
other stuff.
unplug
But
yourself, decouple
it's a
yourself
chance to be
a little bit
patriotic
from all the
and
crazy
feel good.
politics. When we get back, we're going to have one of
And kind of unplug yourself, decouple
our guest
yourself
hosts here at
a little bit from all the
WYAB
crazy
get
politics.
clipped up. I'm going to clip them up
When we get back, we're going to have one of
because I'm
our
telling you
guest
this:
hosts here at
this little
WYAB
radio
get
station has
clipped
more
up. I'm going
talent
to clip them up
behind these microphones than a lot of people realize.
because I'm telling you
And
this:
people need to be
this little
listening to
radio
what we're
station
saying.
has more talent
It's not that we're
behind these
smarter than you or
microphones than
anything
a
like
lot of
that.
people
We're just
realize.
having
And people need
we're
to be
just
listening to
having a really good run here where we've got the subject matter experts on who know their fields and they know what the heck they're talking about. And we need to continue to get those people promoted and put them in places in positions of power and prestige inside our community. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYB. We'll be right back. Yeah, good morning, Dogfish. Yeah, I'm feeling great. You know, the U.S. men's national team is playing today. Was going to go watch them play, but I have to drive Bernadette to the airport, so won't be watching the game, but I'll be supporting them. I'll be listening to them. And we are back at the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB, interacting with the chat. Great to see Brother Eric and Dogfish out there. Hey, and you know what? It's great because iGear Optical's coming back to the show starting in July, and great sponsor. And took some time out to go ahead and sponsor his Mississippi State Bulldogs in baseball. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. We're rolling, rocking and rolling here at WYAB 1039 WYAB. Absolutely love it. And the other question is who's USA taking on today? We are taking on Australia, affectionately known as the Socceroos. It's going to be chippy. It's almost like more of a rugby match than a soccer match or a football match, but it's going to be good. It's out being played in Seattle, and it's going to be a great game. Now, this next segment is about the UFC match that was held at the White House and the terror plot that was put together. And we have some of the greatest talent in Mississippi that lives here being nationally recognized, and I want to recognize them. Chris Hinkle, what do you think about the terror attacks that were foiled by the FBI?
I am unsurprised with that. It seems to be something with the criminal activity that's going on that we have now that's a result of the open borders of the previous administration. But I do want to say, this plot, as you mentioned earlier, was stopped cold before anyone could be hurt because of the courage of this mother calling.
And ladies and gentlemen, this plan was crazy. And notice the mainstream media is really not talking about it anymore. Maybe it's because the FBI doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe it's because they're still investigating it and they're keeping close hold. And Chris and I kind of disagree sometimes on how the FBI is doing stuff, but he's a subject matter expert and I'm just the citizen patriot. And I hope these guys get the maximum sentence available.
Yeah. And often in these investigations, we get far more tips that lead to positive results in law enforcement and thwarting these types of cases than we do in any other type of sophisticated surveillance that I've seen in my experience.
And that's the whole thing, is that you can have all the video surveillance, the phone surveillance and everything, but a lot of times, let's just be truthful, we have things going on where the family members know that their son or daughter is completely whacked, but they're not sure if they should go to law enforcement or not. And that's how a lot of these crimes are actually stopped. And they got pictures of these guys, a Hispanic dude and a couple white dudes. I got one more clip of Chris here. Let's go to cut 3.
My biggest concern right now is this rapid radicalization via social media. I mean, these subjects went from online chatter on TikTok to a group acquiring weapons, drones, tactical gear in a matter of months. And these are teenagers and kids in their young 20s.
And, you know, they're not going to be Army Rangers. They're not going to be Navy SEALs. They're not going to be Delta Force or SAS. They're going to be spraying and praying. But spraying and praying is still deadly. They're still deadly. And these guys' tactics, I'm not sure if this is the clip with where Chris goes into the tactics or not. Let's finish it up, and then I'll have more to say on it.
This is the new normal. Young men being radicalized at a lightning speed in echo chambers, blending anti-government extremism with anti-Semitism, conspiracy thinking, and then these encrypted apps take them off the radar. So, but for this mom coming forward, we probably would have had a very difficult time infiltrating this network.
And Chris, you do great work. I am so grateful and thankful to have you as a guest host here on the Andrew Gospel Show and other shows at 103.9 WYAB. But this is why we need people. Dogfish, you just trolling me. That's why we need people like Chris inside the GOP. It's why we need people like you inside the GOP. Because there are people who are happy with the status quo. And that's why parents, you need to be all up in your kids' social media. You need to be pitching a tent, building a campground. If you're the military type, build yourself a military installation. I don't care if it's in shipyard, Air Force Base, Marine Corps Station, a fort. You need to know what your kids are being subjected to. People laugh at me. I was laughed at yesterday. Andrew, do you really think that your kids are being programmed like a computer? Yes, I do. And I have all the evidence I need. The transing of our kids, the homosexual agenda that's coming out against our kids, the anti-patriotic movement where people finding it weird to feel patriotic. I still can't open up any Meta product on this computer. It stinks because I've got this video. It's a collage of young Black women who are feeling guilty for feeling patriotic and wanting the Europeans to go home because they just want to hate America because that's what they've been programmed to do. And they can't. Look, these young men and women today, they can't handle conflict. They don't know how to sit there and deductively reason and critically think. I support X. I will go out and support X. Violence is okay. Look, we know the left is thinking political violence is okay. Thank God the right doesn't. We've got Jesus. We don't want violence. We want common sense. And you know what? Just because you can go out and do something doesn't mean that you actually should. And humanity's been around for a while now. And we were relatively fine until about 6 years ago. Well, maybe 15 years ago when the internet really came on. Think about that. The internet was supposed to bring mass enlightenment, was supposed to bring ability for us to go do great things. And all it does is have us becoming more addicted to our cell phones than drugs and alcohol. It really is. You want to do an experiment, ladies and gentlemen? Turn off the internet on your kid's iPad or cell phone and see what happens. If your kid loses control and emotional stability, then you need to seriously think about taking away their iPad and their cell phone. It's a safety issue. It's a safety issue. Give them a flip phone where they can call 5 people: mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa. I know that's 6. Maybe change that from 5 people to close family: mom, dad, auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister. And that's about it. Kids need to get in the real world and touch grass. And that's what I think I was talking about yesterday, which it was a fair criticism of me. You know, I was being all happy and then I kind of blended it in and took a cheap shot there at the end. And I'm open and receptive to it. I'll try to fix it. And I could have worded it a little bit better. But my point being is that our kids are going down a road that is just not good, not good. We got a phone call here. Let's try to take it. And caller, are you there?
Yeah, I was going to talk to the kids that are listening. Anybody younger, you hear him talking about how children are getting programmed really fast. Here's an experiment for you. Go to your parents' house and turn off the news. Don't let them watch the news for a week and see if they don't come around.
That's a great idea. You know what? Us older generations, we grew up on the Channel 5 or the news at 5, the news at 6, the national news. Yep. And, in my household, if my mom was home, that was what was on. And it's tough because we become addicted to the things that are familiar to us, right? Whether it be news, politics, sports, whatever.
Well, you tune in to what's easy to listen to. And we all know that the truth doesn't always come in easy form. Sometimes you have to hear what you don't want to hear to find out what's really going on.
Yep. And there's the cognitive dissonance that builds up. And
sometimes I like to listen to the other side just so I can form my own argument to see if I'm standing on principle or if maybe I've been led astray, and so I like to hear the other side of the argument.
Absolutely.
It sharpens your mind.
One of my favorite YouTube channels right now is God Logic, where he is a single Christian black man going up against 10 Muslim imams, and he's absolutely slaying them. But I guarantee you that most of us listening to this radio program, including me right now, I couldn't do what that kid does. And he is a kid, at least like 23, 24, man. It's awesome. But you got to go up against your enemies. Iron sharpens iron,
100%. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that you use the internet to program our kids. I 100% agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is this isn't a new concept.
Oh, no.
They're using television to do it to the older generations. It's all one big deal, and they're all trying to form a narrative. I'm not saying it has to be a doom and gloom thing.
Nope.
It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing, but it's programming nonetheless. So you've got to see it for what it is and go out and learn your own truth. Be able to argue your own points without quoting a news anchor.
Yep.
Figure out the truth. Actually go find out what's actually happening in the world.
I think that's what makes these Europeans come into America, to see how beautiful and awesome America really is, not through the lens of the BBC or Sky News,
Yesterday. Oh, yeah. 100%. I love watching those videos because, it makes me realize how good we got it here, but it also makes me realize what they're trying to bring here. And they're trying to bring what's happening in England and France and all over Europe. They're trying to bring that here.
Dude, we're
it makes me want to fight even harder.
Yep. And dude, but if you watched the primary last night, and I'm up against the break, but if you watch what happened in the primary last night, another Muslim American who wants to bring Sharia law just got nominated by the Democrats to be their U.S. senator in Washington. It's crazy, man. I'll give you the last word. We're up against the break.
We got to get rid of dual citizenship, period, and we got to get back to a Christian basis. And have a
Brother, thank you so much for the phone call. I appreciate it. That was Brother Rick. Sure. This is Andrew Gosser, and this is 103.9 WYAB. We'll take our last break of the hour. We'll be right back.
My name is Chloe Cole. When I was 12 years old, I began the process of trying to change my gender from female to male. At age 15, I even had both of my breasts surgically removed. But I realized that what I was doing was actually harming my body. So at age 16, I began to detransition. Planned Parenthood is America's single largest abortion business, but they are also one of America's largest dispensers of trans hormones, including to minors. But do they have any resources for people like me who seek to detransition? Let's find out.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. My name is Africa. How may I help you?
Hi there. So I was wondering if you guys have any detransition services.
You would have to contact your insurance for a list of providers.
So you guys specifically don't offer like any services for detransitioning or stopping transition or like reversing any of the effects of it?
No, you'd have to contact one of your insurers.
Would only have gender affirming care services, like for hormones, but not to detransition.
We here in the scheduling center don't necessarily have those resources, and we most definitely can't answer those clinical questions like that.
Ooh, that one's a hard one because they know we just do gender refined.
So as far as I know, we usually don't see patients for that. We usually see patients to getting started on gender affirming care.
Why don't you offer detransition services? Is that just something that's not listed or?
I mean, I really wouldn't know.
Have you heard of somebody who's been able to like fully come back from transitioning?
I don't have any information on that, no.
I had surgery, I've been on the drugs, and I need help recovering the things I've lost.
Oh, yeah. I just got to ask, where does the time fly, ladies and gentlemen? Where does the time fly? We're sitting there doing a little bit of show prep during the break, and next hour is going to be lit. We're going to do some Roger Wicker talk. We're also going to be talking about Planned Parenthood. You think the Planned Parenthood battle is over? You'd be mistaking yourself. There's still so much more to do. And the thing is if we can't protect our children as a society, if we can't protect our kids from predators, from evil men and evil women with their own machinations, their own schemes, their own artifices, their own devices, not to help humanity, but to help themselves. It's not the Hippocratic oath to do no harm when it comes to transitioning in the LGBTQ plus agenda. It's all about that dollar. Andy, how do you know that? Man, have you seen the gay pride this month? You know where the biggest festival for gay pride has been this month? New York? No. They had to wheel out crotchety Madonna and she couldn't even get a crowd. San Francisco? No. LA? No. Portland? No. Seattle? No. Austin, Texas? No. the biggest gay pride festival in the month of June was, wait for it, Dead Sea in Israel, ladies and gentlemen. International event, people flying in. And yet you're supposed to tell me that I'm supposed to go ahead and support Israel for that? No. Oh, that fired him up. Look, in the next hour, we're going to talk about Mr. Roger Wicker and what he's doing in the Senate. Some of it I actually like. Going to be truthful with you. There's some of it I don't like. We'll talk about it, get full perspective. I know a lot of this audience want to get rid of him, but that's not happening because we don't have that amendment in the Constitution. Used to be back in the day where the state sent the senators and the people sent the congressmen. That's how it was supposed to work. But what I know. We're going to take our last commercial break at the hour, top of the hour break. We'll be right back in about 7.5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned.
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
How long the ceasefire would last, but it does. Hey, I was going to tell you, hold on a minute, by Roger Whittaker.
Yep.
He's the one that started us in Ukraine, and all he was talking about money for Ukraine. I remember him on radio. We got to give money to Ukraine. I wonder how much money he got back.
Oh, he got a lot. Let me tell you.
And he's never really, I don't think he's ever really been friendly to any conservative. I may be right, I may be wrong, but I don't think he's conservative at all.
I'll tell you what, brother. I got a guest coming into the studio, so I got to get it ready. But we are going to talk about it in the second segment, and I hope you stay tuned for it.
I just want to show you what my opinion is.
Oh, well,
you're right, me wrong.
Yep. Well, call in for that second segment when we're on the air, brother.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too, brother, my man. Thank you. And welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. We're moving and grooving. Thank God it's Friday and we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. And we're streaming on the mothership that is 103.9 WYAB. So if you can't pick up the 50,000 watt blowtorch of a signal that is 103.9 WYAB, help us grow the channel. Help us grow the station. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a family member. We'd appreciate that. All the stories we talked about in the first hour have been retweeted on my X account. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Appreciate that. If you want to be part of the program, 601-879-0002. Text line is open, 601-879-5060. Chat is hopping. Appreciate it all. But no matter what's going on, the mission here at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints, give you the knowledge that you need to know to go out there and make a difference in your community. But you might be asking yourself, who are the saints? You all are the saints. I'm just planting. Apollos is just watering, but it's God that gives the increase. And, you know, I teased it in coming up in the second segment, but I guess we're going to go do it in the first segment. And that's the senior senator from Mississippi. And for this, I'm going to Magnolia Tribune. Real quick, before we do that, you know, we've got all this anti-Trump news coming out. West Texas crude oil, $76.55 a barrel, even though Iran is still playing games and finding out. That might be a whole segment. Maybe we'll talk about that before we get into Roger Wicker. Well, actually, we'll talk about Wicker and just kind of interweave it. We're going to have to do this on the fly, though. $76.55 a barrel. America never lost a drop of oil during this whole regime. It was just the drug cartel. Yeah, the drug that is oil, liquid dinosaur cartel driving the prices. But Roger Wicker came out, and this is coming from Magnolia Tribune, story by Frank Corder, June 18th, after I got off the air. It's got a solemn picture of Roger Wicker. It's a good picture. They didn't. That's one of the things I like about Magnolia Tribune is they don't use gotcha pictures. They don't try to make the good senator look like he's confused or dazed. You know, we tried to do that with Biden, but he was always dazed and confused. But one of the things I noticed about this picture that they used with Roger Wicker is he's got his American flag with his Ukraine flag. And that's the first problem. Our senators and our elected officials should not be waving flags of other countries. I don't care if it's Ukraine, fam. I don't care if it's Israel. We are America first. But Roger Wicker is not America first in that aspect. He definitely loves his military, though. We can say that. Mississippi U.S. Senator Roger Wicker, the chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, expressed concern Thursday over the memorandum of understanding signed by President Trump and Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. And my full condolences to the Iranian president. It's not that I'm trying to be disrespectful for your name, but me pronouncing your name just isn't going to be happening. The powerful Republican chairman said in a statement that since day one, he has supported President Trump's efforts to end Iran's 47-year threat to the United States and nation's partners. You know, we went back through your X account there, Mr. Senator. We didn't see too many postings on that. We haven't seen you on Fox News or Newsmax or OAN or any of the major news media outlets talking about it. It's almost like you're trying to take a note from special forces, the quiet professionals. I am completely unconvinced by this. How many town halls has Senator Wicker had out on ending the war in Iran? And see, this is what happens when you let politicians fight wars. I'm looking into the camera now. This is what happens when you have politicians fight wars. They don't let the war fighters fight the war. Politicians don't let the doctors do the operations. They tell them what they can and can't do. There's that island that Iran's running all this craziness off of. There is no reason that we shouldn't line up our B-52s like a Operation Linebacker 2 operation. We'll call it Operation Linebacker 3. And we'll just smash that island till it rumbles for days on end. And they don't have any of their radars equipment anymore. No more equipment working. We'll just end it all at once, and we'll see what Iran thinks about that. We as Americans, and my friend Rick points out very eloquently, and I'll even go a step further. You've got a window, right? And it's got 4 panes on it. It's got the classic wood 4 panes. There's technology out there, laser technology that we had, this is completely unclassified. You could put it through any one of those panes. Which one do you want to do? But what I would also say is that is if there's a military target in there, and all of a sudden the enemy puts 40 women and children in that target, well, now you're kind of in trouble. But I digress. I am concerned that the Memorandum of Understanding negotiates away the victories of Operation Epic Fury in ways that are completely out of step with the president's goals. So, Senator Wicker, are you saying you know what the president's goals are more? You know more than what the president's goals are, even though he's the president who's making the goals in the first place? I just don't see it. The senator went on to question the deal's monetary provisions, and this is where I agree with Senator Wicker. Iran shouldn't get a dime. Now, if they're selling their oil on the oil market and getting the price that everybody else gets, I'm okay with that. They need to rebuild their country. They need to feed their people. But $300 billion rebuilding fund, which is not being paid for by the U.S. taxpayer, so they say. They're saying that people like Kuwait, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Oman, Saudi Arabia will all pay for that. But I even have a hard time dealing with that because those countries freaking hate Iran. They hate the Shias. This is like the Catholics and the Protestants. They can't stand each other. You know, Shia won't call Sunni a real good Muslim. Go look it up. I've done my research. And I don't want to do that, but that's a carrot and the stick. You know, the blockade was working fine. We were crushing our enemy. And this is where politicians grip defeat from the jaws of victory every time. They put handcuffs on the military to go do the jobs they need to do. And they're always looking for the easy way out. And, you know, if you're good and you compromise with evil, are you really good? Or are you just mostly good? And there's things that you can compromise with, and there are things that you can't compromise with. But pushing homosexuals and lesbians off the top of buildings to their deaths is not good. I don't agree with that lifestyle in any way, shape, matter, form, nature, or relationship. But they don't deserve to die a gruesome death. The fear. Think about the fear. You're standing on top of a 12-foot or 12-story building, and they're got you all shackled up, and they make you walk the dang plank. The fear that's going through that human. No one wants that. There's not, and if you are one of the people within the sound of my voice who enjoys that kind of stuff, you are a sick person. According to the White House, the funds would be made available should Iran hold its end of the agreement. Should Iran hold its end of the agreement? You know, I think this is a Trump masterstroke ahead of everybody. He's like, look, we made the deal. Iran can't hold the deal. I've got a piece of paper signed by the Iranian president himself saying this is what they're going to do. Iran clearly doesn't have its control of its borders. It doesn't have control of its IRGC. Back to the military campaign we go. That might be the play. Further, Wicker said it would be an error to force Israel to stand down against Hezbollah and I'm adding Islamic Jihad, an Iranian-backed terrorist organization that continues to attack Israel on its northern border. And you know what? Israel's going to do what Israel's going to do. And this is where I think I break away from a lot of conservatives and a lot of libertarians. I don't want to give Israel another dime, another dollar. Because Israel is not a place, ladies and gentlemen. Although in our godless world, that's what you think it is. Israel's not a place, it's a people. Stemming from Jacob. And we're going to have some real deep dive on history. And there are people out there who think they've pinpointed it down to where this all went sideways. And you can quote me Genesis 12 and Genesis 15. You know what? That's fine. But that's a whole nother theological discussion that really doesn't need to be in here. No country should be denied its right to defend itself. I just don't want the American taxpayer footing the bill for it. They are bankrupting our country through funding these foreign wars, specifically Ukraine, specifically Israel. I'm not mad at what Israel's doing for defending itself from Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad. Lebanon, the country of Lebanon itself, has expelled Hezbollah and Islamic Jihad from Lebanon. We reported on that months ago, but yet they're still there operating off of Iranian money. You know, it's that part there doesn't bother me as much as it probably bothers you. I also oppose lifting any sanctions on Iran, unfreezing Iranian funds in exchange for Iran's mere agreement to negotiate for another 60 days. Iran has never won a war, but it has won negotiations. But Mr. Wicker, respectfully, that memorandum of understanding says as long as Iran holds up its end of the deal and maintains the ceasefire. We know in the past 2 hours, Iran has dropped the ball on that. We know it for a fact. So does that MOU really mean anything? Lincoln's still there. Bush is still there. H.W. Bush is still there. The U.S. Air Force is still there. The Space Force is still there. Cybercom is still there. Our warfighters are getting better every day. You know, I've got a lot of friends who are active duty military, mostly senior enlisted and senior officers now. And they say morale has actually improved because they don't have men wearing dresses showing up as detailers in D.C. anymore, telling people where they're going to go. We're bringing back that warfighter ethos, but it doesn't happen overnight. You know, we had Brother Rick in the last hour talking about how they're programming our kids. They've been doing this kind of stuff for the past 20 years. You think one term of President Trump is going to completely fix it all? Nope. It's going to take decades and generations to undo what has been done by the Democrats and the liberals, not just in America, but around the world. Sure, we get little hints and glimpses of humanity, like at the World Cup in America. But it gets plagiarized. It's just like ducks in a pool. It gets all pooped up after a while. This is just what Frank Corder says. And I'll share this on X. When we get back, I've got a story from the New York Post. And I've got a story, I believe, on X that I'm going to quote too. But this whole Roger Wicker thing, it's a big deal. Because if we had more MAGA types, and I'm not calling anybody out here in the sound of my voice. This is not an attack on you. This is not an attack on your politics or anything like that. But if we had more MAGA soldiers who go out there on the front lines every 2 or 4 years to help the Republican candidate or help President Trump, if you were inside the party, we'd be having a lot easier time getting some of this stuff done. Says that he supports President Trump. Where is he on the Save America Act? I just had this pass through my screen as we were getting ready to go to commercial break. Senator Thune calls for peace in between the Save America Act. He wants the MAGA people to cease and desist. No. In fact, we need primary John Thune 2028.com set up ASAPly. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. I love Electric Light Orchestra. Don't Let Me Down. What a great song, huh? This is the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. I will not let you down. But you know who's let the people down? The American Congress and Senate. And now apparently Iran too has let President Trump down. Broke the ceasefire. Straits of Hormuz supposedly closed. And oil prices still sitting at $76. We'll see what happens over the next hour as we go through this. Roger Wicker calls Iran deal out of step with Trump goals. This is coming from the New York Post. And the New York Post, just for you ladies and gentlemen, is the oldest newspaper in the United States of America. So, and this New York Post was also the first one to report on the Hunter laptop story, which was completely banned off the internet. You know how they say the internet is forever? The internet is forever unless they want to go away, and then they'll just take it down. Senator Roger Wicker blasted the U.S.-Iranian Memorandum of Understanding Thursday, saying it negotiates away the victories of Operation Epic Fury. So here you got the Magnolia Tribune, doesn't say that it blasted, but Roger Wicker in the national media blasted. Do you see how that works? And I'm not calling out Fred Quarter's reporting. I'm sure that he got his own interview and own sources. But it's got a different photo of Roger Wicker smiling. He almost looks like a Jimmy Carter in his 80s. And he's got his Senate pin on. He's got his American flag, and it appears to be Ukrainian flag. Nice blue shirt, yellow tie with blue accents. And this is where it gets telling, because this, the national media covers Mississippi a lot different than Mississippi covers Mississippi, which is a lot different than Jackson covers Mississippi, right? Just like we're finding out with the World Cup. All the overseas news media thinks that all these soccer teams are going to get shot up and they're all going to die because we got guns everywhere. Nothing's further from the truth, but it's why I like doing the national stuff more than the local stuff, ladies and gentlemen. I feel like we got a wide breadth of hosts here who really do a great job covering stuff locally. Don't need another host doing that. Wicker, the top Republican on the Armed Senate Services Committee, says Trump's giveaways to Iran under the deal would make President Obama's 2015 deal look like a pittance by comparison. So here in Mississippi, we're saying that Wicker's an ally. Nationally, Wicker's saying that Obama's better than Trump. That's how I read it. Wicker, and this is the pull quote right here. Wicker, who along with other hawkish Republicans have been urging Trump to finish the military campaign against Iran rather than make a deal that could enrich the regime. And two things can be true at the same time. Yes, we need to finish the deal militarily, but Roger Wicker, we don't need you or Lindsey Graham anywhere near the war room. Quite frankly, I want the snake eater generals in there. I don't want the conventional ones. The ones who actually tactically boots on the ground, and those who can actually plan strikes and make them meaningful, make Iran pay, not just hurt. If Iran has all these IRGC boats, I can't understand why we have any IRGC boats left. Those should just be tactically taken out. Well, we got to leave them some infrastructure. No, you don't. No, you don't. That whole island should be just a smoking hole, not nuclear, but we've got enough conventional bombs. We've got enough toys that we can make that happen. Well, they're going to fire drones. Oh, they're going to fire cruise missiles. Yep. That's what Iran and the IRGC do. Vice President J.D. Vance Tuesday addressed complaints by skeptical Republicans during a press briefing at the White House. And this is the other thing, too. These Republican senators should know better. You would think that the chairman of the Armed Services Committee in the Senate would know this. But they don't. They need to get their pull quotes in the national press. Look at how great and strong I look in the press. Have a little bit of faith in the president of the United States, Vance said to GOP naysayers. The idea that he's going to strike a deal that's been bad for the American people is preposterous. And just look at everything that he's done with the reconstruction of the monuments, fixing things that have been fixed. He's fixed so much stuff. Well, the gas prices are high. And you know what? If that's what your whole metric is on everything is gas prices, and then you might need to reconsider how you judging stuff, because that's not. You still got your Starbucks latte. You still got your In-N-Out burger. I know we don't have In-N-Out here in Mississippi, but In-N-Out burger still going strong. Whataburger still going strong. Your Chick-fil-A is there. Your Arby's is there. And the Waffle House is open, people. I get it on this tangent of America being so weak. Why so weak? Why so weak? The idea that he's going to take a strike to strike a deal that's bad for American people is preposterous. He is the person who has led the courage to fundamentally transform the relationship with Iran and with a lot of other countries over the last year and a half. He's had the courage to go do what these senators who have been in Washington, D.C. for decades won't do. They don't have the testicular fortitude to do the hard things. Everybody wants to be an Army Ranger. Everybody wants to be a Navy SEAL until it's time to go to selection, fam. And then they find out after 30 minutes, this isn't what they signed up for, and they want out. They tap out. They ring the bell. They don't have the intestinal fortitude to go ahead and do it. It's terrible. And it irritates me as someone who's a military guy. Wicker had declined to comment until the official text of the 14-point memo deal was transmitted to Congress. Senator Wicker, if you call the president of the United States, you're going to get to him pretty quickly. He views you as an ally in Congress, even though you're not. You could support the Save America Act. You know, I will come on this show and wax poetic on Senator Wicker every day that he comes out and supports the Save America Act. I'll turn a blind eye to all this. But he won't. Since day one, I've supported President Trump's efforts to end this 47-year-old threat to the United States and our partners. Specifically, the $30 billion fund for reconstruction and economic development of Iran, though not funded by U.S. taxpayers, would make the payoff under President Obama's 2015 deal look like a pittance by comparison. Do you really think our partners in the Persian Gulf are going to give Iran a dime while they're doing what they're doing today? Nope. It's almost like they don't understand the political game that's going. Do they not understand the art of the deal? It makes me think, and I know that there are people who don't want war, and I don't want it either, but when you don't want to be bullied, but when you're bullied, you go and you end it. And we don't do that in America. We don't do that in the West, period. We like these long, protracted, drawn-out wars where Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, and Boeing get these billion and trillion-dollar contracts that extend for 10, 15, 20 years, perpetuating the cycle of war as we remove religion and Christianity out of the public zeitgeist. It sounds like a book I read, some book somewhere. And Roger Wicker goes on, and I'm reading his quotes and then commenting on them because I don't want to take the senator out of context. And I know they're in their office, they're upset with me, and that's okay. Because I'm not going to sit there and mock them personally or anything like that. I'm going to make purgent points. I believe it would be an error to force Israel to stand down against Hezbollah. Senator, we agree. As long as they got Islamic Jihad, Hezbollah, Al-Aqsa Martyr Brigade, and others operating inside, in, and around Israel, I have no problem with them going after it. They are not of official country status. They are terrorist organizations. When you find terrorists, you kill them. Well, preferably you capture them, interrogate them, get their information, and then send them to the military tribunal and send them to Gitmo. The U.S. Memorandum of Understanding, which has been violated by Iran since the posting of this article, would impose an immediate 60-day cessation of the conflict in exchange for Iran's re-engaging the Strait of Hormuz. Well, they're not re-engaging the Straits of Hormuz, Senator. So this whole point is moot. Do we call it grandstanding at this point? What do we call it? Again, I'm grateful that Senator Wicker's coming out there and he's putting his thoughts on this issue on the public record. I just wish he would do more on other issues that are important. And you know, everybody's complaining about their senators, not just our senators. I mean, Americans, we've turned into a bunch of complainers. We used to just be doers. I'm going to go out and do this, and then it gets too tough, and then you complain about it on your social media account, and then you forget that you ever did it. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show right here. Thank God it's Friday. And I've got one more story that I want to get to. I did repost those two stories that I used in the last segment, two segments with Roger Wicker on my X account. I tagged Roger Wicker in it. I want him to know that we're listening and we're out there watching what he does. But I also want to go to this story. I don't know anybody who's trans themselves, but I do know it's wrong, not just spiritually, but morally and ethically. You're born what you're born, and we shouldn't enable mental illness to completely degrade our society, which is what the Democrats and the LGBTQ community have done. They took a month, for crying out loud. We're taking it back slowly but surely. But I want you to listen to this. This is, well, I'll let her tell you her story herself, and we will go from there. I want to make sure I got volume right, everything good to go. 3, 2.
My name is Chloe Cole. When I was 12 years old, I began the process of trying to change my gender from female to male. At age 15.
At 12 years old, how the heck does that even work? I was 12 once. I didn't know what the heck was going on in life. I didn't understand life, what it was like to have a job, to pay bills. I also didn't have a cell phone confusing me, subjecting me to propaganda every day either. And it's got a picture of Chloe White when she still had boobs. It's not X-rated or anything, but it's got like the little, when they're doing surgeries, how they mark you up. When I got my knee done, I had to sign my knee in ink, and the surgeon signed it, and so it's got a pre-operation picture over there marked up.
15, I even had both of my breasts surgically removed. But I realized that what I was doing was actually harming my body. So at age 16, I began to detransition.
We can't talk about detransitioning. We can't talk about that. That doesn't happen.
Planned Parenthood is America's single largest abortion business, but they are also one of America's largest dispensers of trans hormones, including to minors.
Yep. And that's why Planned Parenthood needs to be completely shut down. I know that they provide women's services, but what you do is you take all their equipment that they have, you take everything, you fire everybody in there, and you put new people in there who are genuinely interested in helping women. You find partnerships with like the Centers for Pregnancy Choices in Jackson. You need mammogram, let's get it done. You need OBGYN help, let's get that done too. But Planned Parenthood, evil. Leftist, socialist, Democrat, rot, evil.
But do they have any resources for people like me who seek to detransition? Let's find out.
Now, you'd think if you're pro-transition, you're pro-detransition. But we're going to find out, and I guarantee you, you're knowing where this is going.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. My name is Africa. How may I help you?
Hi there. So I was wondering if you guys have any detransition services.
You would have to contact your insurance for a list of providers.
So you guys specifically don't offer like any services for detransitioning or stopping transition or like reversing any of the effects of it?
No, you'd have to contact one of your insurers.
Would only have gender affirming care services, like for hormones, but not to detransition.
We here in the scheduling center don't necessarily have those resources, and we most definitely can't answer those clinical questions like that.
Ooh, that one's a hard one because they know we just do gender refined.
So as far as I know, we usually don't see patients for that. We usually see patients to getting started on gender affirming care.
Why don't you offer detransition services?
Well, she goes into that. You can see they're perfectly fine screwing up your kid and giving them all the drugs behind the parents' back. School boards will not tell the parents that their kids are operating under a different paradigm than what they think. You've got executives at Disney who are proud that their kids are trans. It's mental illness. It's sick.
Is that just something that's not listed, or?
I mean, I really wouldn't know.
Have you heard of somebody who's been able to like fully come back from transitioning?
I don't have any information on that, no.
I had surgery, I've been on the drugs, and I need help recovering the things I've lost.
It looks like the only thing what we could do is schedule an appointment with one of our providers. As in right now is no, I don't think we do that type of help here.
You guys do provide stuff for people who are going through a transition, right? But you guys don't have anything that like involves like maybe reversal of those procedures or any.
Andy, you're playing too much of the video. Want commentary? Sometimes it's just better to let the video speak for itself.
Drugs to like treat like the fertility issues from it?
No. We would have to refer you out for any type of fertility. So I did get an answer back from clinic managers. So it does look like.
Are you still there? Hello? Is this something that you've heard of before?
I've heard of it before, but I've never had somebody call and ask about it. My manager is actually transgender himself. He has a little bit more information regarding the services that we provide, regarding gender information and stuff.
He might be able to help me out through this as somebody else who's also transitioned.
Okay, yeah, I'm just going to get you transferred, and then just so you're aware, his name is Kate.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for calling Planned Parenthood. This is, how can I help?
I need some help with potentially detransitioning, and she told me actually that you're transgender yourself.
We usually recommend just like talking to a provider who can kind of walk you through all that medical stuff.
Well, you guys able to help me get my breasts back then?
So unfortunately, we don't provide any sort of like surgical services at our clinics, but we could definitely provide you like a referral to reconstructive surgery if that's what you're looking for.
I feel like I've been kind of traumatized by everything that I've been through, and I was hoping that maybe like through hormones I'd be able to have like my breast tissue grow back. I don't know if that's possible.
So unfortunately, that's not something I personally would be able to answer. I'm not 100% sure on what the like medical side. I'm not going to be able to get you scheduled or be able to provide a more resources. I think they will have to let you go.
DefundPlannedParenthood.com. DefundPlannedParenthood.com. That's coming out from Live Action. And to be fair to that transgender man or woman, I'm not sure what it was. But he was respectful. I'm going to say it was a he. I think it was a he. He was respectful on the phone. He didn't get cranky or anything. But it just goes to show you the hypocritical thinking of the left and of these people who are pushing this agenda. And they don't give two whips about your kid or about you. If they just want to get you on the drugs and they want to destroy your life to where you're completely dependent upon Pfizer and all these other companies that are producing this stuff. And I know every boomer that's out there listening to me right now knows that if they would have tried this crap back in 1980, there would have been riots. Again, we had a high trust society. We do not have a high trust society anymore. And I am very grateful and thankful that we still live in a country where someone can go out there and critically talk about Planned Parenthood and talk about what's happening, because there are many places out there that don't do that. They want you censored. They want you shut down. They want you to promote all the activity, all the behavior that's abnormal and make it normal. They just don't do it on the news waves and on the airwaves and at Planned Parenthood, but they do it in our schools too. And that's why I come on this radio show, not daily, but at least weekly, and plead and beg and ask you all to get involved in your local school boards. Plead, beg, and ask you to get involved in your local political parties. Not necessarily just Republican, Democrat too. There are a lot of Democrats out there who think that this transgender stuff is nonsense, who do not appreciate the LGBTQ craziness that's going on. They're okay with you doing you, but when you doing you it becomes you doing them, well, now there's a problem. No one wants that. Our kids are our most valuable and precious resource. That's how humanity continues. And right now, birth rates are down. Culture is collapsing. Trust is collapsing. And we're all wondering, if you think that your SSRIs and mood stability drugs are going to help you with that, you're absolutely mistaken. We are nowhere close to that yet. We are nowhere close to where we need to be. And it's just going to take people, common sense on both sides of the aisle, where we don't agree with stuff, to say, you know what, we agree on this. This has got to be the focus. Let's get this done. Andy, I have friends who are trans and I have friends who are gay and bi. I don't agree with it, but I don't want to make them feel. It's not that you're making them feel bad. You're just standing up for the truth. I have gay friends and lesbian friends who I sincerely love. Love the person, hate the sin. And it's not that I bring it up every time. Well, you can't even hang out with them then if you don't agree with them. What kind of nonsense is that? That's liberal, rock gut, socialist, communist programming. Dude, you're here with your boyfriend. You're gay. We're Arsenal fans. Let's enjoy Arsenal. Let's not worry about making out in front of everybody. It's totally fine. And once we start viewing people with compassion and try to get people back on the right track, that's where the victory is won, ladies and gentlemen. That's where the victory is won. You are tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah. Welcome back to this final segment of the week of the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 103.9 WYAB. Moving and grooving this Friday. U.S. men's national team is about to take the field here in a couple hours, or take the pitch, should I say. It's great, man. The United States is going through an incredible moment in time where you've got the political class completely screwing the rest of us. We've got the FIFA World Cup going on, and you're having a bunch of people waking up. And look, you everything that your favorite politician does is not right. Your spouse doesn't do everything right. Lord knows I don't. Sorry, sweet pea. But on the big stuff, we agree. And where we agree, we need to agree. And where we need to disagree, we disagree strongly and sternly, but also respectfully. And that's what we try to do here on the Andrew Gosser Show every day. Some people like that. A few people don't. Well, you know, it's that time of the week where I get to honor the sweet bee. She is a Proverbs 31 girl. I encourage every woman out there listening to this show right now to go read Proverbs 31 and see if you're a Proverbs 31 girl. And if you're not, you can start today. It'd be awesome. Men, encourage your wife to be a Proverbs 31 girl. Trust me, fam. Trust me, fam. And the sweet bee is departing for Honduras for a week to go work the mission field. She will be serving at a garbage dump. She will be serving in jails. She will be serving in the red light districts, where there are more men serving in the red light districts than there are women. Make it make sense. Ugh. Ugh. But that's what happens when you got the call of God on your heart. And not everybody's meant to go to the mission field. It doesn't mean you have to go to Honduras to serve. But Sweet Pea, we're so grateful and thankful for you. We love you. We'll hold the fort down. And we'll see you when you get back. Until then, everybody, tell your husbands, your wife, your kids how much you love them and how special they are to you. Until then, take care, everybody. Be blessed. Yes, and amen.